Hey everyone, it's been a long time since I've made a video, and I just wanted to start off by saying Happy New Year. It's definitely been a miserable start to the year for me, but aside from that, unfortunately, I picked this up early to mid-December, and entirely for free, along with that, which I made a video on that. Gotta finish it and do things with it, but that's really cool. You'll see why. Either way, I need money. Not bad, but I need money for other things that have come up, and I've got to get rid of this. And so I'm giving it to someone for a decent price who I know will appreciate it. And before I get rid of it, I really just wanted to make one last video on it and to kind of show you guys around this thing. This thing is just, I've never had a system like this in my life, and when I saw it in the trash pile, I knew I had to take it. But it's a Compaq Prosignia Series 3080. So I don't even know the exact model, but very interesting EISA system. I'm not very good with this kind of stuff. This is well before my time, but I picked this up with a bunch of other Compaq Desk Pros, like a ton. You can see none of the Desk Pros worked, but this thing amazingly did. It came with actually four hard drives. I was only able to take two home, but they're these big, massive hard drives, like huge, 2 gigs each. And so I thought that was really cool. They're like, probably about yay thick, 2 floppy drives-ish. So they occupy 2 drive bays. So yeah, basically, I spent some time tearing it apart. I thoroughly went through it, cleaned it, and I tried to do some upgrades to it, some fun upgrades, really. And sorry for the movements and stuff. This is all one take. I don't really care. But you'll notice that, this is obviously a server, right? This is not kind of your ordinary computer, but really, I mean, it's got a 486 DX2 or DX4? I think it's a DX2 or DX4. It's at 66 megahertz. That is not the factory heatsink. That was pulled from one of the dead Desk Pros. I just put some thermal compound on that and then put this one on. It's a better heatsink. But there's not a lick of dust in here other than some at the bottom just from the fans. This thing, I completely tore this thing apart and cleaned it thoroughly. So I went ahead and put in a Tsang Labs ET4000AX, which was pulled from one of the dead Desk Pros. I had this Creative CT4500 lying around, which I believe is an AWE32 or AWE64. This Acton I purchased and then later realized I didn't have to, because even though the card that was in here for Ethernet was token ring, it did have an Ethernet jack. So played myself there big time, and I can't even get this one to work. It's picked up in the EISA BIOS, but it's not seen under Windows, unfortunately. And the hard drive, I decided to get rid of all those loud, noisy hard drives. One of them had bad bearings, and I traded it in for a 3 gig Quantum Fireball. Well, I can't really get it out, but you can see here, much better drive. It's running Windows 95. Some would say it's probably better for it to run Windows 3.1. That's kind of around the time frame of this system, but I wanted a cool Windows 95 system, and well, for about a month I had one. So we're going to put this back on, and we're going to take a quick look at this thing before I sell it and get rid of it. I really just want to be able to look back at this video, because I know I'm never going to find another one of these ever in my life, ever, especially for free. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and turn it on now. There's actually a little cap there that I removed because it's kind of annoying. But yeah, otherwise, let's go turn it on. So it has 106 megabytes of memory, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's EDO RAM, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it's overall, the goal of this thing was to be just a silly Windows 95 computer to do some games and things like that on, and while I really wasn't done with it, like I said, plans have changed. But one nice thing about having the hard drives with this system is that I have the Compaq EISA, or what is it, the F10 config or whatever, basically the utility you need to actually fully utilize EISA, and we'll take a look at it here in just a moment when this thing fully counts its memory. So you'll see here in just a moment when we're done counting our RAM, there should be a blinking cursor up there in a couple moments. We'll press F10, and I'll show you around the EISA program. It's actually very neat. I've never seen anything like it before. I guess it's kind of like a BIOS a little bit, but it's really just a program running on top of MS-DOS, which is kind of crazy. There's our quantum fireball, there's our CD-ROM. And blinking cursor, press F10. Bam. You should be in. So there's some stuff you can see: diagnostics and utilities, operating system installation. So this is how you would install your OS. You would have to prep some. I never went through this. I didn't have to. MS-DOS was loaded, and I just installed Windows 95 from that after repartitioning the drive. But there's a bunch of different things you can do here, like standard boot order, power on speed, checks A, C, D, and C, stuff like that. Right now we're on high. I don't know what that does. Turn to previous menu. System partition. There's lots of cool stuff you can do here, but the obviously there's drive array configuration. It only has SCSI. That's it. The meat and potatoes, or the fun part here, is actually the configure hardware, which essentially what this EISA BIOS does is if you want to load a piece of hardware and you either got to completely manually set it up yourself, or you put in a floppy disk that contains these config files. And basically this is kind of like the first sort of I want to call it plug and play. That's probably the wrong term, but this was kind of like the bastard child between PCI and ISA, and this is how it was done very briefly before PCI came along and things sort of got configured on their own in your BIOS. So you would go in here and you can add or remove boards. You can see I have a couple here. For some reason it is an AW64, yeah. So it doesn't show the Tsang Labs, but it works perfectly fine. I don't know what that's all about, but we'll go ahead and go to this. Viewer edit details. There's like all these little things you can look at here and configure. You can go in and configure the there it is right there for the Acton. You can manually configure the IRQs and the IO address yourself, stuff like that, which is very interesting. I don't really fully understand how it all works, but it's, as far as I understand, it is sort of the pre-PCI PCI, and it's really cool. These are very, very, very incredibly hard to find systems, as I've come to find out, so it is a shame to get rid of it, but we'll go ahead and exit without saving our changes. We'll just exit from this utility. Yeah, that's fine. So going to get us to reboot. If so, I will skip that process. Just need to recount the RAM. Yep, we're going to skip that. The fans are also relatively quiet because I lubricated them and cleaned them. They were a lot noisier before. Overall, like, I just gave this machine a ton of love. I had stripped it down, fixed a lot of stuff wrong with it. But you can see here we're booting into Windows 95 now. It does this weird thing with the, I'm not sure why it is, but it does this weird thing with the splash screen loading bar where eventually it just goes black. No idea why, but I did test some games like Doom 2 in here, and it does work. So yeah, you can see I was having troubles with the Acton. I can't get it to work under Windows, but very clearly it shows up in the EISA program. But either way, I've loaded in here, and I installed a couple programs. I didn't really get very far with it, but I mainly just tested stuff and made sure that it worked. See, there's the stuff for our AW64 and all that. And hello? There we go. Have a look here. 104. Now that's because I skipped the RAM count. It got all messed up, but 80486. Neat little system. Go to device manager. What can I show you? There's our Compaq integrated one. This actually came with an Adaptec EISA controller, but I actually don't know if the integrated Compaq one or the EISA one is faster. I just decided to go with the Compaq one, but you can see here our AWE64. Got a couple of different devices here, but you can see here we have an EISA bus, so it is loaded up. Windows 95 does see it as an EISA system, as far as I'm concerned. There's our Tsang Labs ET4000, which is a decent enough card. I mean, maybe we'll play some Doom real quick to kind of show you that it's actually relatively capable. It's kind of a bummer to get rid of this card because I know this card is very sought after, but there's our Quantum Fireball there. Driver. No DMA for this one. Too old. We take a look here. I do have Windows 95 running under a FAT32 partition. 3 gigabytes. You can see right, 2.98. It is Windows 95C, as you probably saw from the little thing there. But let's go ahead and fire up Doom real quick. The really nice thing about this is that everything just worked under MS-DOS. Like you can see here, our driver for the audio and stuff loads up. Let's go here. Oh, come on. Oh, I gotta go up one. It's been a minute since I've used this. Can't you tell? I don't have my speakers on, so we can't hear the Doom goodness. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we have our mouse driver loaded. I might be wrong, but I'm just gonna run the demo here. But really, it's not that bad. Like, you're getting probably between 25 to 30 FPS, I would say. Like in certain areas, I can tell that it's lagging a little bit and having a bit of problems. Like probably a sub 30 FPS experience, but overall, it's mostly 30. Like, this is very, very playable. Absolutely nothing wrong with this. So, I mean, for a card that can't do 3D, I guess this is, I don't know if this is considered 3D, but this is a cool little system that I had set up here. And very, very interesting. Either way with the hardware that's in there. Well, I haven't made a video in a while. It's obviously not going to be a good video, but I'm probably going to end it here, just looking at this system one more time. Very, very neat little system. And it what I find hilarious is that right over here, we have this system. Came out in 1998, so that's probably about 4 years after this one. And it absolutely destroys that system, and I think just about everything but the any sort of like disk read and write tests. Obviously, the SCSI is probably going to be a little bit better than the onboard parallel ATA that's on this thing, but otherwise, like, you know, no questions. 450 megahertz K6 SDR RAM running at 100 megahertz, like, just blows this massive thing out of the park, and I just find that absolutely hilarious. But either way, it's time we say goodbye to this Compaq. Makes me sad, but hope you enjoyed sort of this blast from the past. And if you ever had an EISA machine, let me know, because I didn't even really know those existed until December of 2021. So anyways, thanks for watching. See you next time.